Hello guys, my name is Michael and welcome to our second GAction tutorial. In this tutorial we are going to learn new functions. Until now we learned name is valid, get name, get enable and activate, because we know how they work. Today we are going to talk about these four: the GAction change state, get state, get parameter type and get state type. Well, one thing is for sure, when it comes to GAction change state and GAction get state, these two actions basically we were already using them. Now I'm going to introduce them just a little bit. So the GAction change state, it is a function which basically we know it's making that request of the action to be changed to the value. So if that request happens, then basically the change state signal gets catch and the callback will be called. So in other words, this function we were calling it in the activate, and because we call this function, basically the change state has an effect. Let me show you. As you can see, if now I choose the new, everything works fine. But if you don't call this function inside the activate, like I do right now, then yes, I get an unused parameter, and I'm going to fix it for a second. Now let's see. At this point, if activate, you see nothing happens. If you click new, doesn't get change and nothing's happened, and that's happens because we didn't call the GAction change state. Okay, the next function, it is called GAction SetState. Basically it is the function which actually does the job after you call the GAction change state in the activate callback. In the change state callback, once that the GAction change state was called, then in the callback of the change state callback, the GSimple action set state, the GAction get state, it gets called, and with the help of the action state which we get it, we can print the last state which was, and together with the actual state, basically we saw how we can print the new one, and so we had the new and the last state, which is fine. Now the last two for today are the GAction GetParameter type and GAction GetStateType. Let's see. The GAction GetParameter type, it is a function which queries the type of the parameter that must be given when activating the action. So when activating the action using GAction activate, for example, or when you click the item yourself, the G variant given to that function must be of the type returned by this function. If not, something goes bad. So in other words, to be sure, we could call it, let's see, let me go a little bit inside the GAction change state right here, because here we are not making any check, so which is not quite good. So we need let's see, G variant type constant, so const G variant type. This is what we need, and of course here I'm going to say parameter type, which let's say null, not that, like this. And now the parameter type should be pointing to this function. And now because we have the parameter type, we can do something with it. I'm going to print it first. So G print the parameter type is %s G variant, how was that called, type pick, I think, pick string, yes, this one, and the parameter type. Now let's see what happens. We should print it, we should get yes, I forgot to pass the action here, because without the action, it is a simple action, sorry, we had nothing. Now let me format it. Oh, not that, don't highlight, I mean format it. And now let me compile it and run it for a second, see what happens. Okay, the simple action should be a GAction, so let me fix that by casting it with a GAction macro. And now, as you can see, the parameter type is S. S is from string, B is from boolean, and so on. Now, because we have it, let me introduce you the next function, which is called GAction GetStateType. Basically request a hint about the valid range, not the state hint, sorry, the state type. Queries the type of the state of the action. So if the action is stateful, like we have, then this function returns a G-variant type of the state. This is the state of the initial value. So in other words, before we work with this function, we can check against the parameter type and the state type. So let's see what do we get at this point. If everything works fine, this means we need the state type, and now we need to call this function on the state type, sorry. And now let's see, everything looks good. GAction get okay, and now here will be the state, and here also the state. Now let's see, we declare two const G-variant types pointers, and we save information in it of basically we are pointing to GAction GetParameter type and GAction GetStateType, and now we are printing the information which we get it, and of course it should be the same, which means it's true, you see. And because it is true, now basically we can we can have more control of our application. So in this case we can say if G variant type is a subtype of, and here we can make a test like parameter type. If it is a G variant string, G variant type string, sorry, string, G print, I'm going to say for a second just true, nothing more. Now let's see if everything works fine. And it says true right here, else false, else G print false. Now why I'm saying string? Well, because when we are creating basically the action here, as you can see here, we said S for string. No, that's wrong here. Okay, and here also. Now, because we decide to pass the parameter as a string, everything works fine. Now, if we try to change it to something else, for example, boolean, it should return false because the expected should be a type of string. And as you can see, it says false. The same thing should happen for the state. If we pass the state, then should give false again, yes, which is true. Now let me put it back to string because it should be a string, and now if it is indeed a string, which should be return true and returns also true. Now we can make it more robust, which means with the next function, which is called G variant type equal. Here we can pass basically the state type and the parameter type. So what do we have here? At this point we say if the G variant type is a subtype of G type string and those types are equal, then should be print true. And it prints true, which is fine. Now let me remove these two lines here because we don't need them, and of course we should check the parameter type, not the state type, because that one should match and says true. And now because it says true, now we are safely to move this call right here, and here we can say wrong parameter was provided, and now everything should work as expected, and the function should basically apply the changes only and only if something what you provide, the parameter, is the right one. If you pass something wrong, let's say if you are expecting something different, or maybe you see you pass a Boolean one but we haven't seen a string. Now it is still matching because here I forgot, that's wrong, sorry, that's my we should use the AND operator, which means both need to be true, not one of them. Then the wrong parameter is provided, and no matter where you click, you see the open still doesn't get changed, and the new one is not working. So basically now if we put it back to string, now our function should work fine. Yes, as you can see. So this is more robust and this is more safe for you when you call the activate callback and you pass the GAction change state. To be 100% sure that you don't do something wrong with this function by calling with the wrong parameter or something, then these kind of things are provided for you, and these two functions basically help you to be on the right track. That being said, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends and neighbors, and until next time, see you guys.